Hello, Eagles fans. Vincent Foch here, and welcome to a Week 13 Eagles Chat. But before we get into this Eagles Chat, make sure you subscribe to the Eagles Chat YouTube channel, as well as liking this Eagles Chat video. And if you want to see daily updates on your birds, make sure to follow us on Instagram at ChatEagles. You also can see updates on when we'll be posting Eagles Chats, and you can see the Eagles Chat play of the game. It wasn't really too much of an Eagles Chat play of the game for this game. All we did was highlight the Eagles security guard, Big Dom. We had to give a big shout out to Big Dom. Became an instant celebrity here in Philly, but glad to see it. He is very good at what he does. But as for plays of the game, it wasn't really a play of the game for yesterday's performance. And as we get more into this Week 13 Eagles Chat, we all know the Eagles went up against the San Francisco 49ers and lost with a final score of 42-19. So it was not a close game by any means. One team clearly showed up. The other team, I don't know where they went. I think they got lost somewhere. But yesterday's performance was not good at all. And the 49ers definitely shown that they were the better team yesterday. But as we get more into this Week 13 Eagles Chat, we're going to start off with the injury update. So good news, there were not any big-time injuries that transpired out of yesterday's game. But there is one player that we are currently watching, and that is QB Jalen Hurts. As you all know, yesterday, Jalen Hurts left the field to be evaluated for a concussion. Now, luckily, he did pass concussion protocol and was able to return later in the game. So out of all the negatives that happened in yesterday's game, a positive transpired with Jalen Hurts not having a concussion. Now, we will continue to monitor this as the week goes on. Make sure nothing negative transpires out of it, and any updates you can find on our Eagles Chat Instagram story. But as of now, no big-time injuries came out of yesterday's game. But now as we get into the defensive part of this Eagles Chat, probably a part of the Eagles that a lot of people didn't even know existed yesterday. But there's not really too much to say about the defense other than where was the tackling and where was the secondary? Two pieces that were nowhere to be found yesterday. And hey, I got to say, you could definitely see the talent difference in the Eagles secondary compared with the 49ers. I mean, the Eagles secondary is hurt bad. And this is something where Shaquille Leonard, which is a guy that the Eagles are definitely looking at right now, would be needed big time. The Eagles need all the help they can get with the linebacker situation that they are currently in. They've been getting hit hard there all year with injuries, and they have a lot of guys right now who are third string and some second string that are playing there right now and really cannot compete with other teams, especially with yesterday's 49ers. You have NFL stars compared with some of these guys that were just brought up, and you could definitely see the difference. There was no tackles. They are running through the Eagles' defense like nothing, and I don't know how many long touchdowns the 49ers had yesterday. The 49ers putting up 7 touchdowns against this Eagles defense, something that I haven't seen in a long time, and really very concerning for a lot of Eagles fans. I'm definitely concerned big time, and we'll see what happens as this week goes on, especially with Howie Roseman right now, the situation with him trying to get Shaquille Leonard. The Eagles are currently fighting with the Dallas Cowboys since the Cowboys are also interested in him as well. So we will see what happens with that situation as the week goes on, and any updates about that you can see on the Eagles Chat Instagram story. So we now move on to the offensive part of the Eagles, a little better. And we're going to first start off with contributors before I get into the part that I know everybody wants to know about. And we're going to start off first with Devontae Smith, who did not have a bad game. 9 receptions for 96 yards. He had 1 touchdown. Another contributor, we have A.J. Brown, who didn't have a bad game at all as well, having 8 receptions for 114 yards. So both of these top receivers here in the league both had pretty good games here, but we're going to get to the part that I know what everybody is talking about and wants to know about, and that is right here, Brian Johnson. Now, I know yesterday there were definitely some bad play calls, but I cannot blame 100% of the offensive woes on Brian Johnson. Now, yesterday, I understand the Eagles could have had momentum big time in their favor at the beginning of the game, but completely bombed that by going down the field on 2 great drives, 2 strong drives, and only coming up with 2 field goals and only getting 6 points, where the Eagles really should have had 14 points coming out of that first quarter. And that was exactly the wrong thing to do, because instead of getting all the momentum to your side, you kept the 49ers 100% in the game, because all they needed was a touchdown and an extra point, and that's exactly what they were thinking. Hey guys, we are not out of this game. All they have is 2 field goals. They have 6 points. All we need is 1 touchdown and an extra point to take the lead. And what did they do? The Eagles defense unfortunately started the fade. All the 49ers did, they scored a touchdown, extra point, and they had the lead. So those 2 drives were basically 2 great drives were basically cut out immediately by 1 great drive by the 49ers, which took the lead. So the Eagles' red zone woes, they started at the beginning of the season, kind of disappeared as the middle of the season, and now as we're getting towards the ends of the season, they're starting to come back, and that definitely hurt the Eagles big time yesterday, where they really, like I said, could have had a lot of momentum in their favor, but yet only came up with 6 points on both of those drives. That is unacceptable big time, and that really kept the 49ers and their minds in the game, and the 49ers pretty much took it from there. But with the Brian Johnson situation, like I said, I cannot blame 100% of it on Brian Johnson. Jalen Hurts did not play that great yesterday as well. He had plenty of time. That offensive line in front of Jalen Hurts, one of the best offensive lines in the league, was giving him tons of time. And when I mean tons of time, there were points where Jalen Hurts was just standing there with nobody even near him, was standing there and still could not find anybody and was still hesitating. There are times, yes, I understand, Brian Johnson's play calls were not the greatest, especially a few times in the red zone yesterday, but Jalen Hurts himself has not been playing great as well. And this is where I say a team is not one guy. And you cannot blame 100% of this on Brian Johnson. I'm sorry, you just can't. And especially seeing the performance from some of these Eagles players coming out, yes, the play calls are not great. I understand that, and I agree with you if you think that. But I have to say, Jalen Hurts has not been playing great either. And especially these past games, just look at it. The first half, were the play calls great? No. Was Jalen Hurts playing great in these past first halves in these past games? No, he was not playing great either. So you cannot blame 100% of this on Brian Johnson. You just cannot. And right now, Jalen Hurts not looking that great, and Brian Johnson with the calls are not the best either. So like I said, 100% of it is not on Brian Johnson. Jalen Hurts himself is not playing the greatest either. And I'm definitely watching these two, especially as they have a big game coming up next week against the Dallas Cowboys. So we'll see what happens with that. But now, speaking of Jalen Hurts, let's see what he did yesterday. And let's start looking at his stats. 26 out of 45. He passed for 298 yards, 1 touchdown. And for his carries, he had 7 carries for 20 yards and also 1 touchdown, which was the brotherly shove. But right now, he is definitely concerning me on how he is playing, especially seeing yesterday with all the time that he had back in that pocket and was still not able to find a receiver. Now, yes, I understand there were some holding calls that should have been called. The officiating wasn't exactly the greatest yesterday with a big hold in the end zone on A.J. Brown, which I cannot believe was missed. There were also a few holds on the defense with Blankenship being completely held as well. So were there some missed calls? Exactly. There were missed calls yesterday. That I can definitely tell you. But still, the officials did not put 7 touchdowns on the board yesterday. Now, I have to say, yes, the defense did not contribute, but the offense could have put momentum big time in their way in that first quarter, especially since the defense was playing well in that first quarter and the offense had 2 great drives. But again, could not put any touchdowns on the board. All they got were 2 field goals, and that cannot happen, especially against the team that they played yesterday, being the 49ers. But that's all I really got to say for this Week 13 Eagles chat. And next game in Dallas against the Cowboys, Sunday, December 10th, Sunday Night Football, 8:20 p.m. start. We'll see what the Eagles can do there. They're playing in Dallas, like I said, in that stadium, which is the Dallas Cowboys are still unbeaten this year in that stadium. So we'll see what the Eagles can do. Hopefully they can have a big bounce back against their big-time rivals, the Dallas Cowgirls. And we'll see what they can do next week against the Cowboys. Hopefully it's a good rebound for the Eagles. Hopefully that anger is back there and they absolutely run over and demolish the Cowboys. That would be great to see, and that would fulfill all Eagles fans' hearts to see the Dallas fans cry again as usual and beating the Cowboys in general. So that's all I really got to say for this Week 13 Eagles chat. A disappointing game by the Eagles. One that a lot of Eagles fans and the Eagles in general are just going to want to forget. And we'll see what the Eagles can do, hopefully, to rebound next week. So that's all I really got to say for this Week 13 Eagles chat. And as I always say, go Birds.